Hi, thanks for watching today. My name is Carlos Ferreira. I'm the product manager for Rational Asset Manager. It's been a while since we've done a tutorial, and we've had some requests on the blog regarding how do you use scripting as part of using Rational Asset Manager. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to take you through how to set up, how to install, and set up and configure Rational Asset Manager scripting. And then I'm going to show you how you create scripts to download an asset as well as publish an asset, and as part of publishing the asset, how you can also relate it to other assets as well. And this is valuable in really two key scenarios. One involves building, for example, a release where you're creating maybe an AIR file, and then you want to create dependencies on existing assets or new assets, like open source components or third-party components as part of publishing that asset. That's one scenario, and you want to submit the release or the AIR file into RAM or the implementation into RAM. The other is around a deployment. Let's say you have deployment scripts and you're deploying perhaps an implementation, an AIR file, to a specific application server, and maybe you want to update those dependencies as assets inside of RAM. So those are kind of two sample scenarios of where you'd want to use these types of scripts. All right, the first thing you'd want to do is go to the antapache.org website to download Ant version 1.71 or later. RAM does not include Ant, but does depend on it, and so therefore you just want to click on this link here, and that will take you to the website for Ant. And then once you go to the Ant website, you can download the binaries that are appropriate for your platform. For example, if it's Windows or Unix, for example. So there's the 1.71 binaries that you'd want to download. The next step is you want to unzip the files and install the files. So I actually follow the steps that are provided on how to install AMP, and those can be found here on this page here, directions on how to install Ant. The key things that I'll describe to you as part of installing Ant that you have to really do are you need to set the Ant home. So assuming that you've installed it into C:\Ant Apache Ant, you'd set it to that. You need to specify where you've installed Java. So I'm actually using the JDK version 1.5. So, and then you also need to update your environment variable for your path so that when you do the Ant tasks, it'll be able to resolve those as well. So hopefully you know how to set environment variables, but if you don't, this is how you do it. You just go into your computer, go to Properties, go to Advanced. Under Advanced, you have Environment Variables. Click on that, and then you can see here how I have my Ant home set. You can also see how I've set my Java home. And then down on the bottom here is where you can see where the path is set. So let me just go to path. There's the path. If I edit that, you'll see I put a apostrophe and I just added where the path is to the bin directory for Ant. So once that step is done, to download the contributor files, and where you get those is you go to this website here, and you really the one file you want is a file which is the jar file, and then you just want to put that into your lib directory wherever you installed Ant so that this jar file can actually be found and picked up. And as soon as you do that, then you should be able to use Ant and issue the Ant command, and I'll cover that a little bit later. So what do you have to do once you have Ant running and installed? Well, the next thing you have to do is you have to get the client jar files for using RAM. So the way it works is you would go to the web client inside of RAM, and then the web client, whatever your RAM web server is, you would type that URL, and then you would go under help extensions, and then what you'll see there, you'll see there's a ram client.zip file, and you would unzip it into a local directory wherever you're doing your builds or wherever you're doing your deployments. So let's say C ram client, and then you would want to make sure again that you add that path, add this folder to your path. So remember before we had ant home, we also can append onto it the C ram client as well. All right, and so the way you do that is, let me show you that interactively. You would bring up your browser, you'd go to your help, you'd log in, you'd go to help extensions, and then under extensions you'll see here the ram client.zip. These are the jar files. You would click on that, download them, save them, and then once you save them you would extract them like I have here. Once you extract them, you'll see these sets of files. These are the client jar files that Ant will use and the scripting will use to communicate using web services to connect to the RAM server. And the jar files that you need are all here. We include some sample scripts that you can use to work with RAM, and I'll take you through that in the next step. Alright, we're going to go and cover the next step, which is to show you how you can create scripts to download an asset. And a good example of this would be, for example, if you wanted to download a jar file that you wanted to use as part of a build and include it as part of an implementation for an air file, for example. Another example would be a DLL, or perhaps you want to deploy an air file into production. You'd want to download an asset. To do that, what you want to do is you want to modify the ram.download.asset.xml file, and then you want to specify the directory to where to download the asset to. So in this case it's c:/libdir. You want to specify the user ID and password for the person who has rights to that asset to download it. You want to specify the RAM URL, which is the web server URL, and I can show you how you get that. What the unique identifier is for that asset, this is from the asset details page, as well as what the version of the asset is. And then you can also specify the build value. So if we take a look real quick at this script, and I'll actually give you a demonstration of this.